Cortez puts himself in a bad situation, and Ken spills the beans. Let's talk about love, sex, and marriage. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to KRS TV. This is your boy Kenny, and this is Love, Sex, and Marriage Season 2, Episode 5. Yo, this episode was really good, and it's gonna get even crazier as this season unfolds. So, let me begin. The episode opens up, Cortez is literally being raped on camera. Deshaun is pretty much running the scene. One of the guys is actually on top of Cortez, getting it in. Cortez is trying to fight him off, telling them to stop, and then the other guy is like saying, shut the hell up and take it. You're either gonna take it by choice or by force. But we getting this in, so Cortez is literally helpless at this point, and he's being literally raped on camera. And there's a knock on the door. Deshaun tells him to keep it going, and the camera's still rolling. He goes to the door, and it's Jeremy. And we come to find out that Jeremy and Deshaun are friends. And Jeremy's saying that, I think I left something over here. And then he kind of hears the sounds of Cortez and everything. And he's like, are you shooting porn in your living room again? He's like, Deshaun, man, your ass gonna get locked up. You keep drugging these boys and shit. And Deshaun blows off like, yeah, whatever. But he's like, yo, but you want to go check him out? He pretty thick. I know you like him thick and shit. And Jeremy decides, okay, I'll check it out, but I'm not getting on film. And the next thing you know, Jeremy comes in and see that it's Cortez. Immediately, Jeremy flips out. It's like, Cortez? What the hell? Like, yo, bro, you need to let him go, man. And in this scene, we actually see that there is a good side to Jeremy. Because we've just seen this very malicious, maniacal, personality when it comes down to Jeremy. But in this scene, we literally see that Jeremy is a good guy. And the real piece of shit is Deshaun. Because Deshaun is he's just trifling and ratchet as all hell. He's trying to plead with Deshaun to let him go. And he's like, nah, I can't do that, bruh. He's like, and then Jeremy's like, he's a good kid. He's in college and he's trying to do something with himself. He's got a future. But he's like, and then Deshaun's like, hell nah, man. He'll probably run to the police and shit. He's like, trust me, he's not going to say anything. I've never ratted you out. And Deshaun is like, yeah, I trust you, but I don't trust his ass. So, and he was like, look, and then Jeremy decides to do something risky. He says, okay, let me give him the Quaaludes so I can pass him out and get him out of here. And he won't remember anything. And he was like, okay, fine, but I'm going to catch your ass on camera because if we go down, we're going to take you down with us as an accomplice. So I'm like, oh, shit. Jeremy done put himself in a bad situation even though he's trying to do good. But we see that Jeremy has a bad group of friends who be on some fuck shit. So he gives Cortez the Quaaludes and he takes him up. And I'm definitely going to bring up more to that situation because, even though he shut it down, they can still release it. Remember, Cortez signed the media release form. So not only will Cortez be exposed, but then Jeremy will be attached to the situation as well, which is going to lead to a whole nother slew of some shit. So we see that Jeremy takes Cortez to his place. Cortez wakes up and Jeremy gives him some Tylenol, and Jeremy begins to ask Cortez, how did you meet Deshaun anyway? And he said he met him at a party, and he said he seemed like a cool guy, but I guess he's not. And Jeremy tells him, like, yeah, man, you need to realize that everything that glitters ain't gold. I'm like, true shit. And then all of a sudden we get a knock on the door and it's Darren. And Cortez was like, oh no, you cannot let him know that I'm here, So Cortez hides under the covers. And Jeremy opens the door up for Darren. And pretty much, Jeremy's like, yo, Darren, what you doing here? And he says that, I just started to stop by. I was in the neighborhood. And then all of a sudden he sees somebody under the covers, and he's like, "Who's this?" And like Jeremy with the bullshit. He's like, "Look, dang man, you nosy. I mean, hey, it ain't Ken if that's what you worried about." I'm like, Jeremy, your ass need to stop. You already doing enough shit. You need to stop playing these games. And I was like, and Darren begins to ask Jeremy, like, why is Xavier in town? And he was, and Jeremy was like, I don't know, have you called him? And he was like, no. And he's like, so you mean to tell me you came all the way over here to ask about Xavier when you can just call him and find out? But then, Darren is like, look, I'm not trying to open up no old wounds and shit. And then here go Jeremy with the bullshit. Like, well, it seemed to me that the door probably ain't closed. I mean, you acquiring about him and everything. Why don't you just call him and find out what's going on? And then Darren decides, okay, I'm gonna give him a call. But then before he leaves, he says, that's funny because Cortez has those same kind of socks. And he ends up leaving. And I'm like, yo, this is going to be some shit. Like, especially when Xavier, if he reaches out to Xavier. Like, because I'm beginning to think Jeremy reached out to Xavier to come through to try to take back Darren so that he can get Ken. So I'm saying, like, we kind of seeing that Jeremy does have this good heart, but yet he has very shady moves. So then we see that finally Cortez comes from under the covers, and then like Cortez asks Jeremy, who's Xavier? He was like, and he pretty much kind of blows Cortez out, like, don't worry about that. And he was like, I wonder, Jeremy, why are you single? And he's saying that, I haven't found the right one. I did some bad shit in my past, and I'm just trying to put it behind me. And we definitely know he's talking about Andre, because if you've been following the series in season 1, he drugged and raped Andre at a party. And pretty much, Cortez is asking, what did you do? What did you do? And then like, Jeremy shuts him down. It's like, look, that's enough questions for the day. You need to get in the shower. But then we can see right here in this scene that Cortez is starting to catch feelings for Jeremy, because Jeremy did save him, from the pits of hell with Deshaun and the boys. So, he gets up, trying to kiss Jeremy, but Jeremy kisses him on the forehead. So I'm thinking, like, this could be interesting. So that was the end of that. Then we go to the restaurant with Ashley and Andre. Andre's getting dressed up for his interview. I love me some Ashley, because Ashley's saying, like, what you getting dressed up for? He's like, well, hell, I'm getting dressed up for an interview. And Ashley was like, oh, so hoes go on interviews now? I'm like, Ashley's a damn mess. And then Andre was like, bitch, you need to be doing the same. I mean, hell, with this sinking ship that we're on. But then she's like, yeah, you got a point. But then she says that, yeah, you need to kind of get the hell on, because, I'm about to clock out. And then Andre was like, yeah, I know, because I need a ride to my interview. And she's like, seriously, fool? Like, yo ass, I hope you do get a damn job so you can get a damn car. Got me all fucked up. And and then he asks Ashley, where's Vontae? She's like, do I look like Miss Cleo? I don't know. And then and then he was like, but then she was like, well, I think he in there, talking to that bank dude. And he's like, what they talking about? Is he trying to shut us down? She's like, well, quiet as it's kept, I don't know, but let's get up out of here. So then we actually see Vontae is in there talking to Donald, and Vontae is trying to plead with Donald, like, can you help me out with one more month? And Donald was like, if that's the case, you need to help me. You know what I want. And Vontae's like, look, I am not gonna sleep with you. And then Donald was like, well, shit, I ain't giving you another month then. So Vontae is kind of starting to really push shit together. He's like, so you mean to tell me you had the ability to give me an extension, but you won't unless I sleep with you? And then Donald starts really starting to show his true colors of how sinister and trifling he really is. And he's like, bruh, you called me. Don't make me out to be the bad guy. So then Vontae asks a question, so you mean if I do this, I'll get an extension? And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I got you, baby. And as soon as he said that shit, Rick walks up. He's like, baby. And, you know, then we see that Rick and Vontae go back and forth. And Vontae's trying to tell Rick it's not what it looks like. He's like, really, bruh? Me and you supposed to be an exclusive, and yet you here with this lame ass nigga? Seriously? And he's like, you know, and then Vontae's trying to tell Rick, I can explain, but Rick is like, you know what? I should have listened to Cortez when he told me that he saw you with someone else. You know what? You can have a nice life. And then Rick runs out of there. And then he sits back down with Donald, and Donald starts up with the bullshit and was like, so I see that your boyfriend's no longer a problem. Let's make this exclusive. And then Vontae flipped and was like, Mighty Mouse, get the fuck out of my restaurant. And he was like, excuse me? And Vontae was like, here I was considering selling my soul, you know, selling myself short, you know, but you need to get out. And he was like, and then Donald's like, I'm far from short, baby, but you know, if I walk out, I'm coming back with foreclosure papers. He's like, you know what? You need to do whatever you gotta do to make yourself sleep at night, but get the fuck out of my restaurant. And then all of a sudden, you know, Donald all like, okay, I'm gonna show your ass. And I'm like, oh, Donald, we're in our feelings because you, Ronald McDonald, decided to give Vontae your Happy Meal and he decided to say no, that he wanted to get something off of the value menu instead? Oh, bitch. But we can already see that Donald is gonna become a problem now. Now that he turned him down and rejected him, we're probably going to see how much of a nasty asshole Donald really is. So then we see that that Ashley takes Andre to his interview. He goes in and comes out and he says, I didn't get it. And then Ashley's like, well, why do you say that? He said that, well, one of the guys that was interviewing me was one of my old tricks, you know. And he says there were 3 people in the interview, but Ashley is hopeful that you don't know that. You might get it. And he was like, yeah, whatever. And they pull off. And then this is the meat of this episode. We get a scene with Ken, Cortez, Vontae, and Andre. They're discussing the wedding and everything. And you just see that Ken feels, you just can look at Ken and can see that Ken is just over it. He feels worn out. And we all know why he's worn out, because he has all of this weight holding on to him. Because the thing about secrets, they eat away at you. And we see that Ken is literally eating away because there's this big secret that nobody knows about but except him and Jeremy. And we all know what that secret is. So, you know, they're trying to talk about the wedding and all that. And they notice that Ken doesn't sound all that enthusiastic about it. And then they said that, well, hell, you know, he's just saying that, you know, I just feel so much going on right now. And then Vontae's like, yeah, but, you know, it can't be worse than, you know, the fact that you don't have a date to the wedding because your man left you. Then Andre, you know, chimes in, yeah, and the fact that you can't even get a job because you slept with one of the managers back in the day when you used to, you know, sleep for a coin. And then Cortez was like, yeah, and it can't be worse as being drugged and ended up being a part of a porn. And they all like, what the hell you talking about, Cortez? Cortez spills the beans that, yeah, he talks about Delshawn drugging him. And Ken is like, dude, I told you about these ATL punks, man. You know, you're not in the country anymore. I'm like, yeah, you're kind of in the country city. In the city, you got a whole bunch of shady people. Trust, I already know. So, but again, I mentioned he signed that media release form so they can still release it. And this can have an effect not only on Cortez, but also Jeremy, because Jeremy was also caught on camera giving him Quaaludes. So this could really be some shit if this shit gets out. But then Cortez mentions to them that Jeremy was there and that Jeremy saved him from the situation. And Andre is asking, who is this Jeremy guy? And then Ken was like, oh, one of Darren's friends. You know, and the funny thing about it is, like, Andre, you probably don't even, I mean, because we already know that, Jeremy had raped Andre, but Andre was drugged, so he doesn't remember, that he already met Jeremy already. But that's kind of like one of the other dark clouds, was the fact that, last season, Jeremy had raped Andre at a party. Kind of the same MO that just happened with Cortez. And we just see that, at this point, Ken's kind of over it, And then, Cortez continues to talk about how Jeremy came in and saved him. And then he pretty much says, I got a crush on him. And Ken was like, no, you don't. And I was like, damn, Ken, you answering real quick, ain't you, bruh? What's really going on? And, but then he starts saying that, that Jeremy is a caring and loving guy. And then, Kim was like, no, he's not, bruh. And Andre keeps asking, who the hell is this Jeremy guy? Have I ever met him? And they mentioned to him that, yeah, he was at the engagement party. And then Andre was like, dude, I was too drunk. Because, they went partying, for Ken's birthday. They had a few drinks before they came home, before the engagement party. So he's like, man, I was too drunk. I was trying my best not to throw up. I don't remember nobody at the party. So then after this is being said, Vontae turns to Cortez and was like, so he pretty much asked Cortez, did you know he was making a porn? And pretty much, Cortez was like, no, why do you ask? And then damn, Andre was like, yeah, his ass knew. I was like, Andre, you messy. But then Cortez responds no. And then Vontae starts to go in on Cortez, and he's like, so it seems that your ass likes to insert yourself in shit you don't have no business being in. And Cortez was like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, why the hell would you tell Rick that I was out with another guy? And pretty much Cortez was like, well, the thing is, I didn't know, but I'm saying if you're going to be dating multiple guys, you shouldn't be flaunting it around town. I'm like, Cortez, you filing out of order, bitch, because you shouldn't have been running your fucking mouth when you didn't know the full story. And then Cortez, and then Vontae was like, no, bitch, you need to mind your business and not get caught up with niggas drugging you, and your sorry ass probably wanted it anyway. And then Ken interjected, he's like, yo, Vontae, chill. He's like, nah, I'm not chilling because of this fool running his mouth. Rick won't even speak to me and won't return my calls. And then Andre was kind of chiming in like, what guy? What's going on? At first he said it was none of his business, but then he says, no, it was a guy I was meeting with trying to save my restaurant. And then Cortez was like, but how was I supposed to know that? Vontae again was like, it doesn't matter. It had nothing to do with you. Agreed. And then next thing you know, they all start in, Vontae, Cortez, and Andre start arguing back and forth to the point that it literally, just gets crazy because they all going back and forth and they flipping out, and Cortez is talking shit, Vontae and Andre talking shit, and it just goes completely to the roof to the point that Ken just flips and he was like, guys, I had sex with Jeremy. I was like, oh shit. Finally, Ken decides to spill the tea. And I'm like, see, that shows you right there, this shit is eating away at him, and he just was just waiting for an opportunity to get it out, and finally he did. And all of a sudden they all like, what? And then Vontae knows Jeremy, so Vontae's like, please tell me you're lying, Ken. And he's like, I wish I was. And then again, Andre keeps asking, who is this Jeremy? But then they started to ask, like, so when did this happen? You know, and of course, Cortez asked, you know, well, have you told Darren? I'm like, it's kind of obvious that he didn't, Cortez, but okay. But then, and then he's saying, and then, like, of course, you know, Andre's saying, like, am I ever gonna meet this Jeremy guy? And, you know, so Ken begins to spill the beans and says that it happened on the night of the Man of the Year award, you know, and then, you know, and then he says that, remember when I had thought that Darren had sex with Andre? And then Andre's like, yo, I'm so sick of y'all bringing that up. Let that shit go. But then he said that, you know, he says that, well, that night I sent Ken to the event to let them know that I would be late. And then afterwards, Jeremy had came by. He made me a drink, and we had multiple drinks, and one thing led to another. So with that situation, I'm asking, did Jeremy drug Ken? I mean, it's a possibility. But then again, and then also Cortez asks, did he rape you? And he was like, no, I take full responsibility for what happened. So there is a possibility that Jeremy drugged Ken, or the fact that he was just so drunk that he just kind of went in with it. So it could be a possibility that Jeremy didn't drug him, but that question now looms, because I even asked this question, you know, in my review of the season 1 finale, was Ken drugged? Because we know he did that to Andre at that party. Did he do the same shit to Ken too? But then again, there's a part of me that thinks that's probably not what happened, because we obviously see that Jeremy has feelings for Ken. And why would he drug somebody if he got feelings for them? So it's out in the air, but yeah, it's going to get crazy. So let me keep going. But, you know, so after he tells him he takes full responsibility for what went down, and then here we go. Cortez is like, so are you the guy from his past? And he's like, huh? And Cortez goes to say that, well, he said that him and his friends, you know, used to go to parties and do dumb stuff, but he didn't actually say what happened. Again, they're talking about Andre, and Andre is unbeknownst to this whole situation. And again, Andre's like, am I ever gonna meet this Jeremy guy? I'm like, poor baby. Like, you already know him. You just don't know that you know him. So then Vontae interjects and was like, so you mean Jeremy has been hanging around Darren this entire time, knowing that y'all slept together? I'm like, yeah, some straight up fuck shit. Exactly. And then, like, you know, immediately, Andre's like, well, from the sounds of this, you know, Jeremy sounds like he foul as hell. Very foul. Like, this is a totally foul situation. And then, So then that, you know, Cortez is like, well, this is strange, because he seemed like he was so nice and caring. And I think at the heart of Jeremy, he is. But due to the fact that he makes bad decisions, it creates a toxic situation no matter what he does. And it's unfortunate. So in a way, I'm starting to look at Jeremy in a different way. But then again, Jeremy, you really done a whole bunch of bullshit. And believe, you know, when you do fuck shit, it always comes back to collect. But then, you know, he was saying that, and then Ken starts saying that, and what's worse is that he don't want to let it go, you know, he don't want to get over it, and he continues to make passes at me and shit. And yeah, we've definitely seen that. And I'm saying it's because he's in love with you, Ken, and I think Ken knows this, but we know that Ken is in love with Darren. So Cortez was like, well, have you told Darren? Andre's like, he's still sitting here, isn't he? Darren gonna kill his little ass if he finds out. And they asked him, like, you know, what are you gonna do? And we see that Darren pretty much says that, look, I want to tell Darren, but I don't know if I should, because I don't want to lose him. I'm like, but the fact that you held on to this for this long length of time, that's a strong possibility. And I was just sitting back like, wow. This is crazy, but it goes to show you there's an old saying that a night full of passion can lead to a lifetime of pain. So that night of passion with Jeremy can literally destroy Ken's entire world and everything attached to it. So pretty much Andre asked a question like, are you attracted to Jeremy? And pretty much Ken says no. It was a one-time thing. I wish it never happened. And then Cortez also brings up a key thing, like, isn't Jeremy in the wedding? And Kim was like, yeah, and I can't get Darian to take him out the wedding without coming clean. So I'm like, man, this web of shit just gets even deeper, you know. So pretty much, you know, they pretty much question like, are you gonna tell him? But then Vontae interjects and was like, look, mistakes happens all the time. But then Andre's like, but his best friend though? Seriously? Look, you need to keep your mouth shut and nobody in here will tell him. But I'm like, Cortez got the gift of gab, so we hope that Cortez can keep his damn mouth shut, because he's already proven that Cortez likes to get really slippery with his mouth. And pretty much, you know, Ken says that, you know, I really feel guilty about this because I don't want to go into my marriage with all this weight on my shoulders. But then pretty much Vontae ends it with, yeah, but if you tell Darren, there may not be a marriage. And yeah, and Andre's like, yeah, you in trouble, friend. And that's where it ended. And I'm like, wow, this shit was everything. And also, following this, I'm going to do a review of the stage play, because the stage play actually came out to the DMV on August 2nd, and they did a phenomenal job. I got my life with the play, and I can't wait to tell y'all about it. So definitely check out my video following this one on my review of Love, Sex, and Marriage, the stage play. And, you know, the performance I went to was the 18th performance. It's a hit play, and they already got encore performances coming up, you know, in Memphis this weekend, as well as they're going to be going back to Atlanta for encore performances. So Love, Sex, and Marriage is a hit. You know, the season 2 is literally got me at the edge of my seat, because I can't wait to see what happens next week, because we see that Cortez and Ken get into it, and I wonder what the hell happened that they squaring off. And then we see Darren there, and I'm like, oh shit, did this messy bitch run her mouth and tell Darren about what went down between Ken and Jeremy? We got to tune in next week to find out. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. Subscribe to TreyMOnline.com. That's the link where you can actually watch Love, Sex, and Marriage, the web series. That link is in the description box, so definitely check that out. You know, go in, you know, like, comment, and subscribe. Follow this show, because this show is everything. It's one of my favorite web series right now on YouTube. Like, they're really breaking ground, and I'm really proud of the cast and crew and Mr. Trey Floyd, because you guys definitely... You definitely got a winner with this Love, Sex, and Marriage. It's everything. But also subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. Also like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Love, Sex, and Marriage. So until next time, everybody, take care.